Our biggest debate we got in last year in the locker room, I tell you what, man, this went for 2 weeks, was if you put any of us in the locker room in the Staples Center and you went one-on-one with Anthony Davis and you got 100 tries, could you make one basket? One basket.
No.
And there was, like, David Freese was like, heck yeah, all I gotta do is just like elbow, hook shot, like 100 times, like one of them's going in. And I'm saying still no chance. I was very adamant about saying no. So what's funny is we didn't have a clue. Well, Anthony Davis ends up throwing the first pitch like 2 weeks later.
Tell me you asked.
So we all asked. Yeah, we go up to him like David Freese thinks he can score on you in 100 tries. And he literally looks and he goes, fuck no. No chance. It was pretty funny.
How my boys over in Cleveland?
Good, man.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How's spring been with them?
It's cool. It's different.
How's the trade? Like, what did you find out?
About the trade?
Trade deadline and stuff?
I don't know. There was no like talks about me being traded. You know what I'm saying? Like I was completely in the dark. I just had no idea. And then I woke up and I was like, oh shit, like we got Corey Kluber when I was, with Texas. And then I was kind of going through my phone. It's probably like 11:30 in the morning. And I saw I had 3 missed calls from my agent. Then I had like 3 from JD, the general manager. I was like, ah, shit. I just knew right then that I was a part of it, but I just did like the uniform reveal for the team like a week later than that. And then I just bought a house a week before I got traded. So it was
Close to
like,
the stadium?
No, it's in Dallas.
Okay, yeah.
You don't want to live in Arlington.
Right. No, I grew up 15 minutes from there, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so all these things were taking place, and then like that, I'm gone. So it took me like a couple of days to process it, but my dad got traded for Pedro Martinez back in the day. And, one of the things he was like, you're not playing for just one team, you're playing for 20 other teams. As long as you got a jersey on, then you got a chance. To be able to play the sport is like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have this ongoing argument for like 2 years back home. If you took an average dude out of the stands, like didn't play college ball, like maybe played high school ball, whatever, but just an average man, and gave him a full season of at-bats, like, does he get one hit?
Ooh.
I think no chance.
You as pitchers, you bring an average dude out of the stand and say, here, hit this.
Right in a row, like if he gets 100 at-bats right in a row, maybe, because he's seeing it so many times right in a row. But if you're giving him 2 innings to get back to normal and then step back in there, I think no chance.
I just playing the numbers, like I think he gets a hit.
How would you feel?
If I can get a hit? If I can get a hit in the big leagues? Because I couldn't hit Little League pitching. I used to joke with my dad. I was 8 years old. I joke with him that I was in an 8-year slump. So
Great.
I got turned into a defensive replacement my freshman year of high school. That's how bad it was. So if I can get a hit in the big leagues, like there's got to be at least a chance.
I grew up playing football and stuff like that, and like I talked to these guys who are retired football players, and they're like, oh, I wish I would have played baseball, but I got hit one time with a baseball when I was little, and that was it. And I'm like, that makes sense.
Right, you get nailed all the time.
Right.
So I played football in Nebraska. I was a starting linebacker in Nebraska. So 230 pounds, so obviously went down from there. And my career was ended because of concussions. I had 4 in a little over a year, but you're a starting linebacker in Nebraska. It's every play. You're basically taught as a linebacker that these 315-pound linemen are pulling, and your best way to make sure they don't get a hold of you is if you hit a dude right under the chin, you take the crown of your helmet, you hit him under the chin, their head goes up, and they can't block you if their head's up like this. So the way to beat it is you're like, a skinny white dude playing linebacker. I was just using my head, I was just running through holes and just trying to pop this guy before he get a hold of me. And you do that too many times, you're done, And I feel like that's, for baseball, I don't know what the comparison is though. Like where because you don't hear much concussions or anything like that in the sport, but.
Just running over the wall or something.
Yeah, that or a random collision at the plate, but they've done a pretty good job of limiting that. Yeah, what are your thoughts about
Yeah, I
that?
was gonna say,
I'd be
like,
interesting to hear,
The
about
collision rule?
Yeah. Like when you see something like Lucroy happen, like, do you get...
So I know the rules are there, but I act as if it's not there.
Yeah.
I prepare to get hit every time, just because all it takes is that one time for me not to be thinking about it, and then I'm in a bad position.
Yeah.
But it's probably helping catchers not get hurt, but I also think it actually benefits the runner. And the reason why I say that is because if you notice, to be able to give the plate, the catcher always sets them in front, right? There's no catcher that sets it behind home and then comes into home plate. So where does every runner go? They go to the back corner. Mm-hmm. Well, every other base, you have to gain control of the base. Home plate, you just have to touch it. Mm-hmm. So guys are sliding so far away that they're only touching, the corner of the plate with their fingertips. Well, now you're telling a catcher to tag a guy, and you got that much room to make contact because you're in front and you're reaching back. So at the end of the day, I think it has made those bang-bang plays actually go in favor. Whereas it used to be a collision, now it's in favor of the runner because they just slide wide and catcher has a hard time getting back to tag them.
Do you think that offsets with the gain in health or the protecting the catcher? Because, you're talking about like a run or two here or there versus being out for a season or something like that.
Absolutely. I think it definitely offsets. I think the only time that you're ever going to hear me say it doesn't is if it's Game 7.
Yeah.
It's the 8th inning, and it's the winning run, and or the 9th inning, whatever, and I want to block the plate, and I want you to try and run me over.
Yeah.
If it's Game 2 of the season, and there's still 6 months left, and that run doesn't mean anything. And you don't want to lose a catcher because someone's headhunting. What about no pickoffs, double A down? Y'all hear about that one?
I did hear about that one.
What? Like you can't pick off?
Yeah.
You have to step off to pick off. No inside move to second base. Lefty can't read anymore. Can't pick up and read. Has to step off and throw.
That is implemented, or they're just talking about it?
Implemented.
No way.
Double A down.
What?
That's the
How are you going to do that?
Guys are going to steal 180 bases.
Yeah.
How many bags would you take every bag?
Yeah, literally. As soon as, especially lefty, you pick, it's a wrap, bro.
Everyone's going to have to be slide step.
Yeah, seriously.
Wow, I haven't even seen that one. How does that fly so under the radar?
What's that supposed to solve?
What I was told is that, first off, what do the analytics say about stolen bases? It's a bad play.
Yeah.
The risk isn't worth the reward, right?
Yeah.
Just in basic terms. So they're trying to come up with, how do we get stolen bases back up again? And this is their answer. That's the way it was told to me. Because the question was, what happens in spring training when you have a big leaguer go down and pitch on the backfields because they don't want to have to face an in-division opponent?
Just running rampant.
Are big leaguers allowed to pick in Double A on a rehab assignment?
Or a rehab assignment. And you go to Double A or wherever you're rehabbing.
Well, I feel like if you're rehabbing, you really don't
you don't care.
Yeah.
But
man, it's like, all right, what you gonna do?
Still, that would be frustrating.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
For sure.
Yeah.
I wanted to get back to your days at Nebraska. You got any crazy stories from football locker room?
Oh man.
Any that you can share?
I'm sure he wouldn't mind. I got a chance. I played with Ndamukong Suh. So.
Oh shoot, you were there? Okay.
Yeah. So
right.
he was. I had to get double teamed every play, Trevor. So that's why he got all the.
I love that.
That's not true. But Ndamukong was one that just you're glad he's on your team. Ndamukong would line up, right over the center and on scout team. And if he wanted to, he could make the play every time. He could chuck the scout team center and tackle the quarterback. And so every play they would say, Sue, red light. And so he wouldn't let him make the play. So then everyone else could practice. And every once in a while he would just say, F it, and he would just chuck the center, tackle the quarterback. And he'd just take off just running laps, But you see guys like that, and you're like, damn, I'm glad he's on our team. But dude, guys would go after him. I don't know what the equivalent is in baseball, but he was so good that there would be guys on their team in the middle of a pile that would be going for his eyes, like trying to, twist his ankle, get on his knee, because if you can get him out for a couple plays, like you can get a couple first downs. It's a crazy concept in football.
Right.
So we were always looking out for him because if he's on the bottom of a pile, you were just trying to get guys off of him because it became the norm.
What was it like just playing in an atmosphere like that? Because you mentioned earlier with the hockey stuff, like you feel like a gladiator, and I feel like football is
It's wild, man.
very similar.
I mean, Nebraska football has been sold out every game since 1962.
Yeah.
Every seat in the stadium.
How many seats are there?
93,000 now.
Damn.
It's the only show in town. You know, you guys go to some of these small markets as you're going up through it, you know they support their sports teams if it's the only thing around. And in Nebraska, they're just diehard. So first time I saw, like, walk through the tunnel on your recruiting trip and you see 90,000 people, you're like sold.
Right.
So it's different.
Yeah, that's crazy. 93,000, they've been sold out for, what is that, 50 years now?
Yeah, I think math-wise, Trev, we might go 58. UCLA.
Whatever.
Man, I tell you,
Yeah.
You don't even have to go
Can't
fast
compete.
out there.
I didn't go to many classes.
Yeah, there you go.
Unfortunately.
I wouldn't in LA, but in Nebraska, there's not much else to do. No, there's good people.
Ross probably had that math right away.
That was good.
Yeah, that's your gig, right? You're the numbers guy.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean I can do it fast in my head.
Yeah.
Which I can't. I'm average at best. If it's on paper, I can.
So you're like a CPA, right? Like,
No, so I have what's called a Series 7 and a 66,
Okay.
and that makes me licensed to solicit advice on wealth management. So CPA is accounting, CFA is a financial advisor. Those
Gotcha.
are two giant tests that you have to take. I did a version of it, but not those.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a good like side gig. I'm talking about from the branding side of things, like to be known as the numbers guy, like real quick, you're like, yeah, Ross knows numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt. Like,
Yeah, I got him. We'd never met before, and he already knew.
Yeah. No, I heard about it. Like you asked last night. And you're like, okay, hey, what is his brand? Like you ask people. I think that was a really. You want to like.
Yeah, I would
comment
do
on
that, man.
question?
So Open Doors, our company, is athlete marketing platform, right? So we help athletes understand the value of their brand, right, and how to maximize that value. And social media has kind of been this, in the last decade, the way that everyone's building that up. So we focus a lot on the social media side. But I was showing stats earlier, like Don was looking at where you're at on social media. I've got all this stuff, right? But one of the things that you talk about, your brand, people want to know, like, what does that even mean? So that's what Trevor, if you guys, this is how I want to ask you. So if you, without thinking about it, if you could imagine going to Trevor's social media channels right now, right? And you're going to look at the first 3 or 4 posts. Like, what do you think you're going to see? Like, how would you describe his brand, right? What do you think you're going to see?
My word would be like driveline and that, like this, something in the brand. Like I knew he did this, so
You
I
see
would be
this.
in like promoting baseball brand, I guess.
Damn, man, I've built a completely separate brand that I have no part in, and that's the first thing that comes to mind.
Hey, but that's
gotta-
it, first thing. That's the first thing. I mean, you guys know Delano, you guys follow Delano at all? What's your...
Are you asking me what it is?
No, I'm saying, do you guys follow him?
I mean, I know him.
Yeah, I mean, for me,
So,
it's
what's
like
your brand? Yeah. What do
Yeah,
you
it's
think
like,
it
it's
is?
like fast and like fashion. That's
Yeah.
what comes to mind.
Yeah, coming from the National League, I mean, I don't think I've ever pitched to you ever,
No.
spring training or in season. I don't know him at all, and that would be exactly what I would say too.
Yeah.
Got you. James, how about James? What do you think when you go to James' social channels? Or actually, what's his brand? What do you think it is?
That one's tough for me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be sure.
I looked him up on the way here and saw Santa Monica, California, born.
I was born in Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara, sorry. So I was expecting to see a West Coast guy.
A Shane
And then
Bieber-esque.
you get and then you get a camo shirt with a big belt buckle, and I was like, I don't think that's Santa Barbara.
How did that come about, by the way? Because you went to Arkansas?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to kind of get out. Like I wanted to go see a different part of the country. When Arkansas called for college, I didn't know Arkansas was on the map. Like, I mean, it sounds bad. I knew it was in the South, but then I went there, and growing up in Santa Barbara, I'd seen like UCLA and USC and all this other stuff. Well, then I go see Arkansas, and it's like you kind of what you're talking about Nebraska. That's all they have there.
Right.
So they average 9,000 fans a game for baseball,
Right.
and the facilities, and it's like, man, I'm gonna go here. And then when I got there, I was introduced to duck blind and a deer stand, and my roommate was from Kentucky, and he introduced me to my future wife, and it's like, I'm never going back to the West Coast. That's why we're in
That brings
Nashville.
up a really good point in that if you think about the NBA or the NFL and you were to put 5 people together like this, I think anyone in the NBA would know the 4th man off the bench for another NBA team versus baseball. For whatever reason, like, we just don't. It's like, even though you call it a fraternity and we like all have each other's backs and we have the union and like all that stuff, and we know each other we don't actually know like a ton about each other.
Right.
Well, it's hard. It's hard just to get to know all 25 guys on your roster.
Yeah.
Because especially considering, there's 3 or 4 guys that are in and out on a regular basis.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the cultural diversity too. Language barriers. And any given team, you might have a guy from Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Korea, Japan, Venezuela, all over the place.
But
Brazil.
the cool part about that, and I've had conversations with a lot of guys about this, is like you look at our society as a whole and just all the issues that we deal with, and if you could put someone like a fly in our locker room and see how we interact with each other, like how hard, why can't the world be like that? Like think about it, you've got Latinos, you've got whites, you've got blacks, you've got Asians. I mean, you got all sorts of
conservative, liberal.
Yeah, conservative, liberal, like
yeah.
Every aspect that you could possibly come up with is in a locker room, and we all get along.
For one goal.
You're right.
Yeah.
For one reason.
Baseball is like the least marketable sport. That's how it's like, oh, baseball's boring. There's no personality. It's bland. It's whatever. This is the reputation it gets. And it's like, what are we talking about? Of all the major American sports, we have the most players and the most diversity.
Right.
Like, it's not that there's no personalities.
Right.
It's just there's no personality to the game. Like, it's not. No one's showing it off.
Right.
Yeah. But a lot of it's hidden. That's the part that just giving a platform to your sport and having each one of you guys represented is a big part of getting the next generation of fans to fall in love with you guys, not necessarily because of what you're doing on the field, right? But because of who you are. And they become inspired by like what you went through to get there. Like, Trevor, I can't wait till the first time you do a post-game interview, and I don't know if you can do this, so maybe don't. But
I can do whatever.
Yes, you can. but say if you really want to know, I'll tell you later. Like, tune into IG later, go to my Twitter later. I'll let you know. I'll answer that question on Twitter. And like the first person that does that, they're like, wait a second, did he just tell me that you're driving tune-in to your own social channels using the broadcast? I mean, things like that opens up another opportunity because that's the platform that you can use to drive back. Because ultimately, if you can leverage those moments to build your own audience, that's what you're left with when you're done. So.
Yeah.
You're really subject to where you are.
Right.
Like I think of like a Clevenger who is elite at what he does and has kind of a cool little look and personality to him. I think if you put him in LA, he probably has 500,000 followers. In Cleveland, he might have, I don't know what he has, but I doubt it's 500,000.
70,000.
Yeah.
The perfect comp is Tim Lincecum in San Francisco, right? Like, Clev and Lincecum, long hair, electric stuff, punch out the world, kind of this hippie-ish type personality and vibe. Lincecum's on all sorts of national ads, and he's the freak and the everything like that, right? Clevenger is, no one knows about him.
Yeah.
Right.
Who are some baseball guys that you see that are doing this really well? Because there's not that many of them out there, right?
Harper and Gatorade.
Harper and Gatorade for sure. I mean, Harper is by far the most like out there. He's definitely leading the way. But is there anyone else that, like, even in the content space, just like that's producing really good content or that's?
I mean, Trevor Bauer's pretty damn good, guys. I say that not to gas you up, but I mean, there's some things that you'd have to, you run through it and you look at the guys that are getting the deals, like getting these paid opportunities. A lot of them is purely based on their on-field performance, more so than what they're doing and building their personal brand, right?
Another guy that comes to mind is Tim Anderson. And like talking about on-field performance, I think one of the most powerful things is marrying the on-field performance with the marketing of that moment outside of it. So what comes to mind is the whole bat flip thing. Yeah. And you were there for that, right? Yeah. It's like, I want to hear the story.
I was on deck. No, TA's done an unbelievable job of marketing himself. He's taken the whole, the whole mantra of changing the game. That's what he wants to be about. And I had a conversation with him. He made his quote in the media last year was he wants to be like the Jackie Robinson of today's game. And Jackie was the one who broke the color barrier. and he wants to be the one that helps break the no fun zone barrier.
Real quick, one of the main things that stands out about TA is when the bat flip thing happened. So many times in baseball, you're encouraged to apologize. And man, I was caught up in the moment. I'm sorry, it won't happen again, type of thing. Kills the moment.
Yeah.
He didn't do that.
No.
He was bored. He's like, no, I'm going to do it again. Like, this is why.
Well, he doubled down on it.
Yeah, he did the same shirts. He did it again.
Like, did the same bat flip like 2 weeks later.
And then he blew up. Like, that's really what launched in the public eye.
That's really
what launched him.
Right.
Yep.
And that's the power of like connecting back to you have an on-field moment. You double down on it. Now you get a bunch of, that was a story for a week and a half on all the national networks. Everybody heard about it, and he capitalized on it so well.
So Tim Anderson, like what he did in that moment is everyone that's following him now, his career may last years, it may last, just a couple more or whatever, right? But those people aren't gonna leave. Right. They're gonna remember that's the bat flip guy, but he's a bat flip guy that then started to raise awareness for charities he cares about, right? And started getting involved in the community and started like the dude selling merch. And so you can transform those moments into a lifetime of an audience.
I've been following like closely what he's been doing, because when the bat flip thing happened, I was like this baseball needs this. Like I hope that he doesn't die down with it. Like the exact same thing happened in the World Series. Bregman carries the bat to first, and Soto comes back, hits a ball. I still don't know if I've seen a ball hit further than that home run by Soto, by the way. That was an absolute bomb. But he hits the homer, he carries the bat to first, right? Kind of flips it, and then this is this huge story. And so they asked Bregman about it, and he does he apologizes, I got caught up in the moment, right? They asked Soto about it, he's like, oh, Bregman did it, looked cool, I thought I'd do it, right? But then because someone apologized for it, instead of it going on and like perpetuating and having these moments launched for these guys, it killed it. You didn't hear about it, the next day or something. Right. And then the national media ain't talking about it, and then and so that's how baseball has kind of the culture of it is like, you apologize, you're told not to have that personality. Meanwhile, Joel Embiid in a 30-point loss dunks on someone.
Right.
Has a picture of him nutting the guy on Instagram with crime scene investigation. Trust the process, hashtag.
But that's got to be more encouraged, right? I think that's the thing, is that somebody's got to break the norm in terms of that. But I also had to respect the locker room dynamics of people maybe being more judgmental of what's going on, what guys are posting. But a lot of people wait to post content after a game, and that depending on the result, if you win but you had a bad game, you don't post, right? If you lose, you don't post. If you win, you had a good game, you want to be humble. So when do you post? Like what do you do? There's literally no formula to actually say yes, no, yes, no. Most of the time, you're gonna say no. And the challenge with that is that you come down to the more you post, the more you engage, the more you get followers. And so what we encourage is that morning of the game, it's a fresh day, right? Who are you playing that night? And then find a photo from the night before, post it out, but can't wait to see y'all at the ballpark tonight, Yeah. So those are the things,
Playing devil's advocate, because we play every day.
Right.
You go 0 for 4 with 4 punchies, and then you post a picture the next morning. What's the first comment? Man, you sucked last night.
Right.
Or why don't you focus on hitting instead of Instagram?
But then it comes down to the caption. Can you quell that? Can you be like, hey, didn't do well last night? Like, own up to it.
I struck out 4 times one game last year, and the next day I just embraced like, hey, I've struck out 4 times, but we won the ball game. Like,
I think I saw that post actually.
Yeah,
I do.
It was pretty funny actually.
You play defense too, right? Like,
yeah. One of my best performing posts, I gave up 5 homers in a row to Max Kepler. Literally 5 at-bats in a row, he hit a homer off me.
That's crazy.
Crazy. I struck him out on a 3-2 changeup the 6th at-bat, right? And so I made a video of him just with the Rocky theme song, and it's just crack, like, hitting homers, 5 homers, and then finally, like, slow motion, it's just like him swinging and missing, and like, something about like never quit or something like that, right? Yeah. But then people die laughing. It's like, oh shit, he's like making fun of himself. Like this is actually like a funny meme. This is something that some other guy online would have made, and an athlete may have gotten offended by or something. But that's you lean into it, and then the thing went viral. And Minnesota fans like, oh, he's not that bad. I kind of like the guy, whatever.
Yeah. No,
There's also the wife aspect. which none of us have touched on it. I know you're married, not married, not married. Yeah, the wife aspect comes into play. Like, hey, babe, is this funny? And she's like, no. That happens quite a bit, yeah.
That's funny.
Is the baseball wives, like that's gotta be a thing too, right? I mean, just
Yeah.
breaking into it like
The wags.
The wags, yeah, the wags. That's true.
Very polarizing.
I bet.
Some people are like all in on the wags, and some people are like all out on the wags. Like even wives, like I don't want to be a wag, or I'm in the wags, like on Facebook. It's a culture thing. It's its own thing. Yeah.
And you guys are still stags, right? I mean, you guys don't have nobody with you, right? Is that when you're single? That's a stag, right? Like if you run a stag.
I've heard it like
I haven't heard
wedding
of it.
stag.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're still rolling stag. How about that? You heard said wags. It sounded pretty good, right? It rhymed. How you I mean, going through? You go to a new city, single dude playing Major League Baseball. Now I'm putting you on the spot, straight up. I'm just interested.
Tell us everything.
I mean,
There's got to be a lot of people out there that's like, man, what is it like to be a professional baseball player and move to a new city being a single dude?
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I don't know what you want me to say.
Which one has better Tinder?
What, Cleveland
Texas
or Dallas?
Cleveland, yeah.
I would say Texas. I mean, I don't know, but I don't.
Just kidding.
Yeah, I just say that because I'm from there. But honestly, I just try to put my head down and play baseball. You know, try to as best as I can, because we were kind of talking about it earlier, how we get this small window to maximize what we do on the field compared to the rest of our life. You know, like I don't want to like deal with distractions and be in certain situations that I don't need to be in, where I need to be focusing on this because I only get it for a fraction of my life, you know, and I take that really, really serious in that aspect, because like I don't want to look back and be like, dang, you know, I wish I was sleeping as opposed to being out running tail, you know what I'm saying? So
I think the schedule for baseball players too, like you're a professional athlete, so it carries the stigma, but we play every damn day.
Right.
You know, so it's like, I mean, and you actually play every day.
Yeah.
Like I pitch every fifth day or whatever, you know? People overestimate like the professional athlete stigma for baseball players anyway, just because of the schedule. And I can go out too and not be recognized. Like I can go have lunch in Cleveland and like no one will know who I am. You know, NBA guys can't do that because they stand out so much.
Right.
You know, football players can't do that nearly as much.
Yeah, and the other thing about us is we're always wearing a hat, or you know, then you get out in your street clothes. We don't even recognize each other sometimes.
Yeah, so true. Especially in Arizona, man. Like I'll go out in Old Town just to get dinner or whatever, and you'll just see like a guy with broad shoulders. You're like, that might be a baseball player.
Yeah.
You know, like I should probably know that guy, but I don't have a clue. And then later you'll find out it was like you know, and I'll be like, no idea.
Didi told me a great story about going out in Times Square when he's in New York. He's like, if I go out and I just wear, you know, sunglasses and no hat or anything like that, no one will recognize me. As soon as I put a hat on, backwards, forwards, whatever, everybody recognizes me. So his disguise is literally just be himself.
Yeah.
Right. Dang.
Which is crazy. All right, this has been great, guys. Appreciate you coming out. It's been a lot of fun.
yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.